Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. This week I'm in the 2023 Chevy Bolt EUV, Chevy small crossover with an engine delete. I'm going to talk to you about what's new for 2023. I'm going to talk to you about the features, trim levels, options, and I'm going to tell you what it's like to live with. Alright, let's take a look. For 2023, we have the same two trim levels as last year, but for $6,300 less. These are the LT and the Premier trims, but we also have a $500 Redline appearance package this year to spice things up a little bit. And while we do have a variety of fun colors available, the Redline package limits you to black, white, or silver. So here we are in mosaic black metallic, a shiny black color with metallic flecks, and lots of fingerprints. We're sitting at 105-inch wheelbase with 17-inch wheels and a few different designs. The black wheels here with the red accent are courtesy of that Redline package, and they're wrapped in self-sealing Michelin Energy Saver all seasons. Between the wheels is a chrome side molding that's exclusive to the Premier trim. The mirrors are heated on both trim levels, and we've got integrated turn signals as well. And the black with red stripe here again is part of that Redline package. Blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert are standard on this one, but they're optional on the base. We've got rails up top, and since we have the sun and sound package on this one, we have a sunroof and an upgraded sound system. That is a $2,500 option that is only available on the Premier trim. Around front, the daytime running lights and auto headlights are LEDs, and they provide excellent visibility at night. And the auto high beam system works very well for detecting oncoming traffic and detecting when the coast is clear. Lots of black covering here since we don't need any big grille here for cooling down the engine, but we've got some venting going on down low as well as a camera. Around back, we have an exhaust delete along with a big swath of black plastic. Not the best look, but at this price point I'm not too concerned about it. LED tails back here, and the badge is black and red here because of that Redline package, and we've got a brake light bar with another camera up top. Opening the manual lift gate, we're looking at 16.3 cubic feet of space. Not a ton of space even for a small SUV, but they took some space away from the back here in order to make the back seats a little bigger, so I'd say that's a good trade-off. And we actually have a secret compartment under the floor here that I don't think is included in that 16.3 cubic feet, and the charging cable has a nice slot underneath that second layer here. Heading inside, we've got black leatherette with red stitching, again courtesy of that Redline package. Without that, they'd be leatherette with blue stitching in the Premier or cloth in the base. But the base trim does allow for either of those leatherette options as well. Heated and ventilated power adjustable seats are standard on the Premier, as is a heated flat bottom steering wheel. Done, sold, I'm in. Those are all part of the comfort package if you decide you want to opt for the LT trim and still want those goodies. The wheel is leather wrapped and perfectly comfortable. Standard GM steering wheel with some infotainment controls on the front, as well as cruise control, and in this case Super Cruise button as well. That's a $2,200 option and only available on the Premier trim. On the back of the wheel, we've got tuning and volume. Above the wheel, we've got our digital gauge cluster, no tach necessary, but we've got some other info here like speed, estimated range, tire pressure, and the speed limit. A nice big infotainment screen is tilted a little bit too far back and covered with fingerprints the second you start thinking about touching it. It's very clear and intuitive, and it works well. The wireless Android Auto has worked out great, as has the charging pad underneath it. I like the way it's tilted back a little bit so you're not distracted by your notifications, and I've had no issues with overheating like I've had in the past with wireless charging systems like the one in the GLE and in the F-Pace. Music pumps through a 6-speaker system, or in this case because of the sun and sound package, it's a 7-speaker Bose system. It's not super premium sound, but it's a step up from the bass. And the best part of the interior is the fact that we have real buttons and switches for climate control, seat temperature, and the heated steering wheel. Those can all be adjusted in the startup settings as well, so that when you hit the remote start, everything is already at the perfect temperature by the time you get in. So we'll start with the bad, because honestly there's not really a whole lot of it. The first thing, you know, with the whir, it has that electric car whir going on, which is something, especially at low speeds, is very present. Something I don't know if I'd get used to. I haven't gotten used to it yet after a couple of days, but I imagine if you're living with one of these cars, you probably get used to it. But other than that whir,
the highway noise, the wind noise is there, but it's not too bad. The road noise is not too bad for something at this price point. On some rougher roads, you'll get a little bit more road noise, but especially on paved, smooth roads, it's really not too loud in here. But the tires on here, so we are, it's an electric car, the power is available. We're making about 266 pound-feet of torque in this one. Front wheel drive only. There is no all-wheel drive version of this. It's only front wheel drive. And so when you're talking about a lot of torque, front wheel drive, the tires are not awesome. We're getting a lot of spin. If you try to get off the line really quickly, then you'll definitely get some tire squeal, get those tires spinning a little bit. So I would like to see some better tires probably, or maybe even an all-wheel drive system would be really nice, especially in a small crossover like this. It'd be nice if the bolsters were a little bit bigger. I don't know if that's just something I'm used to. A lot of the cars I prefer to drive have nice big aggressive bolsters. Obviously this isn't like doing track work. It doesn't really have to hold you in tightly, but if the bolsters were just a little bit bigger, I feel like I'd be a little bit more comfortable not moving around quite so much in my seat. And a heads-up display would be nice, even if it was an option. A lot of cars now at least have that as an option, especially here where the Premier trim, we got the leather and a lot of like nice tech features and stuff, nice safety features. It would be nice to also have an option for a heads-up display. But again, I'm getting a little bit nitpicky because there's really not a lot that's bad about this car, especially again at this price point. Now getting into the good here, it is only 200 horsepower, but again, it's electric. It's just available pretty much instantly. The 200 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque. So even though we're 3,700 pounds, a little bit on the heavier side, which again, because it's an EV, we got the batteries and stuff. It's expected that you're going to have a little bit of extra weight, but it can move fine. That's not an issue. And actually we have a sport mode too, which if you don't like the throttle response off the line, if you want to get moving a little bit faster, you can put it into sport mode and it'll actually react even quicker than it normally will when it's trying to save your energy a little bit and try to get you off the line smoothly. You can get it to be a little bit more aggressive there. That sport mode will also adjust your steering feel, because your steering is going to get heavier. If you leave it in normal mode, it's pretty light. It's still responsive, it's still direct, no problems there. It's a little heavier as you go faster, but if you put it into that sport mode, then it gives you a little bit more resistance. It's it's electronic. It's an electric steering rack here, but it gives you kind of like more of a video game feel in terms of the resistance, but I do like that you do get a little bit more weight there. Because this is an EV, we do have the one pedal driving, which if you're not familiar with that, basically there's a button right here, nice and easily accessible. It will turn the one pedal driving on and off, and if you have it on, then basically as you let off the throttle, then the car will actually start to slow down. So you can really get around town with one pedal. It takes some getting used to, because at first it'll be a little bit jerky. You'll come off the gas pedal and you kind of jerk forward because you're slowing way down. It's something that you definitely have to get used to, but once you get used to it, I've been driving around town with one pedal basically, with the occasion of maybe when I come to a stop every once in a while, I'll have to hit the brakes at the last couple of feet to get fully stopped. But for the most part, it's just been one pedal, which is pretty convenient, pretty, something that I never thought I needed, but it's a pretty nice feature to have. A lot of EVs have that, but this one didn't take much getting used to, and I've really enjoyed using that. In terms of visibility all around, You know, we do have the boxy back end, like I like to talk about with hatchbacks and small crossovers. The window's not huge, but luckily we have this feature here with this mirror where it actually has a video feed to the back, which the first time I saw that in a GM product was in the Camaro, where it makes a huge difference. But even in this, it's really nice, and at nighttime there's actually a night visibility mode where it has like the kind of, you know, the green tinge to it. But it's definitely a very nice feature in terms of helping with visibility. But otherwise, you know, the mirrors are nice and big out the front, no problems here. The A-pillars are a little bit thick, but still plenty good visibility out the front. And we've got the blind spot monitoring with the rear cross traffic alert. And up in this upper trim, we have all the cameras as well. We've got the HD surround cameras, so you know, those are crystal clear as well, and you can really see everything that you need, whether you can see it just out the windows here, or whether you need a camera for it. You know, everything is accessible. There really are no blind spots. Okay, so the Super Cruise. So what is Super Cruise? It's Chevy's version of semi-autonomous, I guess. I don't know if that's really the right term for it, but it's lane centering with radar cruise mixed together. So once you get on a road where the Super Cruise function is, you know, comfortable, it knows this area, and the visibility is good all around, then it will give you a little icon here in the dash with a little steering wheel basically, and then you hit the steering wheel button that matches it, that's on your steering wheel. The light here, there's a light bar here that will turn green, and it'll take over, and it'll keep you in your lane. And it will also, it'll do adaptive cruise. It'll make sure you're keeping up with your speed, make sure you're not running into the person in front of you, and it'll go highway speeds, it'll go stop and go, and it really has worked very well in both situations. There was one time, I probably used it about 10 times at this point. There was one time where it did get a little bit bouncy between the lines in the lane, and at that point the green light here on the steering wheel started flashing red. It beeped at me, it said, hey, I need you to take over. Basically, that's what that means. And so you grab the steering wheel and you go. But again, that was only one out of maybe 10 times. And in that situation, you know, if the Super Cruise is telling you that it can't do its thing anymore, and you don't respond, then it'll pull over for you. It'll find a safe spot to pull over, and it'll actually call the OnStar. Because I guess it assumes that, you know, you're not paying attention, you fell asleep, you passed out, something's wrong. And while it is supposedly like a hands-free mode, there is a sensor here, there's a little camera here to make sure that even if you don't have your hands right on the steering wheel, that at least you are paying attention, you're looking forward, and you're not just off sleeping or playing with your phone or doing whatever. One thing that I really love about this car is a lot of these EVs are trying to go for this futuristic look. Like, we got to be completely minimalistic, just have a giant tablet in the middle with, you know, all your controls, your HVAC, everything. Even the Teslas are going so far as, you know, you can't even have your speed up here, you know, it's in the tablet itself, which I absolutely hate, because that's just not safe. And here we have the big screen here, but we still have switches, we still have buttons. Climate control is all easily accessible. It's an up switch for up, down switch for down, on and off. You got the heated seats and the cooled seats, very easily accessible here with switches. Same with the optional heated steering wheel here, or the upper trim heated steering wheel. I love that that's all there. And the modes are you can change those with a button. Traction control with a button, your lane keep assist with a button. So everything is accessible. And the steering wheel has a sort of typical GM steering wheel where we've got the voice control, we've got our adaptive cruise, and then on the back is actually our volume and our tuning, which is again nice and easy to use. Okay, so I have to talk about charging, of course. So I live in central Connecticut, and when it comes to charging, I don't have anything set up at my house. I don't have anything set up at work. And even near my house, there's not a whole lot when it comes to level 2 charging stations, or places that I can go to charge. And near work, there are a couple of level 2 chargers around, but even at level 2, you're talking about maybe 25 miles of range per hour. So unless it's like you're going to the mall or something and you're charging and you're going in for a couple hours, you're not going to get anything significant out of that. So you really have to have at least a level 2, or even better, a level 3 at home. But a level 2 charging overnight would be fine. I didn't actually realize I could even plug in with a level 1, which is basically your wall outlet, your regular 110 wall outlet. But I plugged it in Friday night around 10 p.m. and it took till Sunday morning to get 100 miles of range. So you're only getting like 4 or 5 miles of range per hour on a regular 110 outlet. So you really have to have at least a level 2 either at home or at work if you're going to buy an EV car. But at the same time, then it's super convenient because you never have to stop anywhere. If you do have to stop, obviously it's going to take a lot of time. If you don't have to stop, that's even better. You're not going to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I have to go to the gas station because I came home and I forgot to stop on the way home. You have a full tank every morning. Now, one thing I meant to mention when I was talking about the bad is the brakes are a little softer than I would like them to be. Like I mentioned, when I'm driving around town, I'm mostly using one pedal driving anyway. Don't really need the brakes, but when you get up to higher speeds, if you have to stop a little bit faster, it doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence when I hit the brake pedal. I feel like I would like to see bigger brakes. That being said, it does have the emergency braking, it has the pre-collision, and it has ABS. It will get you stopped in an emergency situation, but I'd like a little bit more confidence when it's not an emergency, but I do have to brake a little bit harder than normal.
Overall, this isn't anything groundbreaking, but everything about it exceeds expectations for the price point. Fully loaded and still under $40,000, they put the money in all of the right places, making this an excellent value and something I would gladly daily drive.